Sonic speed!
Alright, so some time has passed since the OC news a week ago. Let me start by giving my 2 cents on the game now that the custom character reactions and craze have seemingly died down. Nothing has really changed. I'm still enjoying what I've seen out of Sonic Forces. I like the idea this custom character brings. Most of what I saw beforehand was already interesting and viable for me. I'm decently hyped for Sonic Forces. I'm not wowed or on the edge of my seat in massive anticipation like Mario has done these past couple months, but I'm still liking this so far and interested in more. I believe Sonic Forces will be a good Sonic game when it launches, and most people have argued how it's not that remarkable, it's not doing much for them and such, and I could see that. Even though the custom hero is actually a big addition to Sonic, I'm roughly in agreement with a lot of others like I said. But I believe there are things to take from this that I can deem interesting and fun, and maybe you can too. The custom character, for instance, is a big addition to Sonic as a whole, let alone Sonic Forces. The custom fan characters are a popular thing in the Sonic fandom, as well as other fan bases. OCs take up a huge chunk of the Sonic fans, and say what you will about how bad they are, how trashy they are, how toxic the stigma is, not only are custom creations a decent idea in of themselves, look at Dragon Ball Xenoverse, but there is a wide array of fans out there who were killing for this type of thing to exist beyond online Microsoft Paint creations. This custom hero by no means is sloppily placed together either. There was a lot of thought and time taken to implement this third gameplay style and character without throwing off the balance of having 2 Sonics, with having 7 different species, different effects, a bunch of different gear to equip. If we had a side character in there, Tails, Shadow, Knuckles, etc., the game would feel one-sided for having 2 Sonics, plus Sonic having been panned for having so many side characters thrown to the wayside. Having a custom character that could be you or your own OC would suit that probably the best than throwing one of the long list of side characters in there. It has a lot of potential. The presentation this game is offering, aside from Green Hill, is looking pretty great as well. It looks like a modern Sonic game. Sonic going fast, the boost returning, the unique stage, Park Avenue, the city on fire, broken fire hydrants, crumbling buildings in flames, the Death Egg robot sentinels destroying the city, meteors falling from the sky, robots everywhere. There's a lot going on in Park Avenue, and I like that already. I don't agree with Classic Sonic's inclusion. The game might have been better off without him, but I don't hate Classic Sonic's gameplay. I like his classic games, and I enjoyed his gameplay in Generations. As much as I don't think Classic Sonic should be there at all, it still captures how Sonic should play as in a Sonic game, like the classic games and Generations. I'm likely going to enjoy it here too, and I might as well take it since he's not going anywhere. Even if this game looks like Generations 2, that was pretty much a given the moment Classic Sonic was revealed last summer, and even still, Generations and Colors were great Sonic games. After Sonic's reputation of being experimental and usually failing when that comes to pass, this kind of feels like a wake-up call. Sonic Forces is shaping up to be a very solid Sonic game, though with the boost, Classic Sonic, the Wisps returning, etc., people are calling Sega and Sonic's team lazy and cheap, with Sonic Forces labeling them as quote-unquote playing it safe. Depending on where this argument goes, whenever I hear Sega and or Sonic Team is being lazy with the boost, them reusing old formulas and concepts for Forces as a bad and cheap strategy and it should not be done, I just find that ignorant and in some ways hypocritical. I mean, if we're talking about Classic Sonic, then yes, I agree, and that makes a lot of sense. Them marketing off Classic Sonic, the nostalgia, in a modern Sonic game is lazy and cheap. Reusing Green Hill for this 22nd time now in Sonic's history is lazy, even if it's the first level. It made sense in Generations because it was a milestone achievement, them looking back in the history of Sonic, but here, it's mainly a modern Sonic game, not Classic Sonic, even if we discover that Mania started development 2 years after Forces was created. Mania was likely an afterthought for all we know, so the oversaturation of Classic Sonic now was likely not accounted for when Classic Sonic was added to Forces. But if we're talking the boost, the Wisps, etc., I don't think there's much room to say reusing old concepts is a bad idea, especially if you're saying they need to go back and reuse the adventure gameplay. Cause listen for a minute. I sound like a broken record when I say this and other things in this video. One issue for the boost is that it hasn't been improved upon, and yes, that can be an issue if this proceeds through the course of more and more Sonic games, but that still doesn't mark the boost as a bad gameplay style. Look at Mario. He literally reuses past concepts almost all the damn time. It's not even an exaggeration. Look at the Mario and Luigi series, the Mario Kart series, the 3D Mario games even. Look at the goddamn new Super Mario Bros. Games. Mario fans love to crap crap on that series any chance they get, but what some don't know is that the new Super Mario Bros. Games are some of the best-selling Mario games in history. The new Super Mario Bros. Games are notorious for being almost rehashes of the same game and reusing a lot of assets from the first new Super Mario Bros. But people still eat those games up. People still like them because they're still fun and enjoyable. By Mario fan standards, because they're practically the same, they're average to mediocre experiences because it's the same old thing. But that still doesn't equal people's distaste and hatred for the series. I'm not saying Sega should be lazy and just reuse the same thing over and over, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the boost itself, while still potentially in need of enhancement and additions to make it feel different and innovative, doesn't need to be changed drastically. Another example is Super Mario Odyssey. That game's biggest attraction is returning to the concepts of Super Mario 64 and Sunshine's gameplay mechanics regarding Mario's controls and sandbox gameplay. Nintendo is reusing old concepts for this game and expanding upon them, which is causing millions of people out there to practically orgasm. The one trailer for the game has over 21 freaking views. People are loving that game for multiple reasons, one of them being reusing that old style. This could explain why classic Sonic is used again, while it honestly still is cheap and pandering to older fans more so than the adventure and modern fans. Meanwhile, the boost itself isn't really that old either. In one way, shape, or form, we've seen various adventure-esque games ranging from both adventure titles to Heroes to Shadow, 06, Boom, Lost World, etc. Sonic Rush introduced the boost back in 2005, yet it wasn't defined and noticed until Sonic Unleashed. Then Rush Adventure, Colors, and Generations took it and slowly improved upon it, mostly regarding Sonic's controls. And disregarding the Hedgehog and Unleashed, all of those games inhibiting the boost were very well received, especially when Colors and Generations rolled around. Those two games were regarded as the best Sonic games since the adventure titles by many reviewers and Sonic fans, applauding the boost on top of other elements in the games, like the Wisps and Classic Sonic. As a matter of fact, Sonic Generations sold more copies than Sonic Adventure 2. For as diverse as the fandom can get, it's become a meme and a popular belief that Adventure 2 was the superior Sonic game of the bunch, whether it be Shadow, the story, the variety in stages, the gameplay styles, the music, etc. And I could see why. Sonic Adventure 2 is a fantastic Sonic game. Even though the first adventure sold more, that's not to say the boost gameplay isn't beloved by many Sonic fans out there, especially if a boost game sold more and was about as well received as Adventure 2. Generations was applauded for not only sticking with the boost, but also using classic Sonic in a modern game, which made sense at the time. Colors was as well for taking what worked in Unleashed and making it its own game, and again, circling back to Mario's rehash of old gimmicks and ideas. It's not them reusing concepts that's the issue, it's the concern of whether or not something was added or changed to make the experience feel different, new, and refreshing. Building off or expanding that gameplay style is the main concern for modern Sonic, because the boost itself hasn't really changed that much in any of those Sonic games, and if something was added alongside the boost, like the parkour mechanic or expansive 3D platforming level and gameplay design, then that could benefit Sonic and his direction significantly. To say them reusing old formulas as a cheap strategy and poor game design is blind and hypocritical, especially when not only are a lot of fans begging for the adventure style gameplay, a gameplay style which they did before, a concept people want them to reuse, but also when people are calling Sonic Mania, a game that is literally reusing concepts and gameplay of Sonic CD and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, a true pure Sonic game. And where some fans are coming from saying reusing the Wisps are a bad idea, there's a lack of distinct level design, and others is understandable. The thing about the Wisps being an issue is that they slow down the pacing of the game, as well as being completely unnecessary and shoehorned in Lost World. Here, the Wispins are actually limited to just the custom character as a form of gadgets and as a portmanteau of the words Wisp and Weapon. Disregarding the Boost Wisp, the other Wisps are added to the custom hero only and don't appear to slow the gameplay down. The guy doesn't transform like Sonic did, and the color power is emitted out of that arm cannon the character has immediately upon use, and you have the option of either taking the high road or the low road, which does give the player more options and ways to explore the level, as well as with those grappling points you can use your hook to speed up the pacing however you like. It's a steady form of offense and traverse for the Wisps for the custom hero only, which isn't a bad idea. At least it's not plopped right on top of the Sonics and just thrown about willy-nilly. And we only have 2 levels so far, one being Green Hill and the other being Park Avenue. The thing that worries me about Park Avenue is the level design being practically the same as modern Sonic's level. I know each of their gameplay style properties is different for varying paths and ways to go through a level, and maybe what we saw was a mission of some kind since those are coming back as well, I don't know. Maybe there will be a lot more levels at E3. There's reason to suspect more levels and surprises among these characters for E3, because that's when everyone will be paying attention to this game. This is kind of comparable to Sonic Adventure in a way, since the characters in that game had the same levels with different goals, so maybe it won't be that bad. The thing I'm hoping for is more stages, especially for modern Sonic and Custom Hero, less linearity, aka less hallways and automation, along the lines of Sonic Unleashed stages in terms of scope, variety, and platforming with movement controls improved from Sonic Generations, the stages themselves being different and unique, a great soundtrack, and a decent story. Wherein Graf is writing the story for Sonic Forces was my biggest concern, so I pray to God he actually wrote something decent with not too many corny jokes like Lost World and Colors. And another thing where Mario succeeds whereas Sonic doesn't. Mario, and mostly Sonic fans, have come to the belief that the Mario franchise is broken off into 5 pillars of some sort. The 2D pillar, the 3D pillar, the sports pillar, the RPG pillar, and the spin-off pillar, something along these lines, and that makes a lot of sense. But one thing all those pillars have in common when it comes to most Mario games' success is sticking to a formula. Just like in the new Super Mario Bros. Series and the 3D Mario games, there's some foundation those games have that's either reused entirely or reused and taken to a different level. One of the biggest complaints in the Sonic franchise is that he has so many experimental games. Instead of sticking to one solid foundation, one formula that people have thrived for, Sonic kept getting shoved into so many different gameplay styles, and without setting those pillars or other fields to cushion Sonic's different gameplay styles, he's not only gotten hammered hard for doing so, but has broken the fanbase off into so many different sections and niches that prefer one gameplay style over the other. It can get super confusing and misleading for Sega, Sonic Team, and the Sonic fanbase itself to clarify and see what the hell is the best course of action, as well as the fact that some of those fans even skew their own opinion in favor of something someone else kept shoving in their face. The Sonic fandom's become such a diverse community that it's difficult to gauge exactly what would be the best for the community and Sonic's future. It's become even harder because when a new game does arise sticking to one gameplay style, the Sonic fans who don't like that become more vocal than usual and tend to say, "This is not what we wanted." Yet, there is a decent majority of fans out there who like and asked for that specific gameplay style, in this case, the boost. When Lost World came out, that confused and pushed Sonic fans back due to the gameplay, level design, controls, and story and such to be vastly different from Generations, Colors, and Unleashed. It seemed the boost would have been the foundation for Sonic up until Lost World changed the formula again, which ultimately hurt the game and Sonic again. Lost World was able to form its own identity with the parkour mechanic and other gameplay elements, but still ended up being a below average to mediocre Sonic game for most people. Them trying to be innovative, experimental, and different kicked them in the ass, and this wasn't the only time. Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Unleashed, the Sonic Rider series, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Boom, even Sonic 06, yet there was a lot more than just being experimental with Sonic 06. All these games have different identities, different ways of being experimental, but one way or another ultimately hurt Sega and Sonic's reputation with the werehog, the guns, the swords, the triple teams, the forced replay, the slow, clunky exploration gameplay, etc. Just because the game has an identity doesn't equal it being a good game already. With that said, whether you agree or not with the boost, the adventure gameplay, the custom character, and whatever else, you're welcome to form your own opinions and speculations on Sonic and anything here, especially on Super Mario T. I'm just saying what I feel should be heard and opinions deserve to be heard and accepted. If some of you out there want to shoot down others' thoughts and explanations in favor of your own with either various reasons or none up your sleeve, then that's the behavior that's poisoning the gaming community as a whole, not just Sonic. And you need to stop being sensitive, hypocritical, and willfully ignorant. At the point of Lost World, there were a number of fans asking for the actual adventure gameplay, as well as the Boost fans asking for that back as well. The Boost fans got what they asked for, yet the adventure fans are still unhappy. Here, Sonic Team/Sega might have found out that the Boost was their groove, their formula. For them to go back to the Boost and quote-unquote play it safe? Why is it such a bad thing now? When has Sega ever played it safe with Sonic? Shadow wasn't. 06 was the exact opposite of safe. The Werehog wasn't safe, the Wisps were an interesting gameplay mechanic that was new and effective, Generations was a milestone celebration looking past Sonic's history for his 20th anniversary, which was a decent idea, Lost World didn't play it safe either. Regarding spin-offs, the Rust series was new for Sonic, Secret Rings, and Black Knight were not basic either, especially with the controls, stories, and swords. The only time Sonic really has played it safe was arguably Generations. Other than that, Sonic's never really played it safe that much before. And again, Sonic's had that bad reputation of being such a diverse series with so many different gameplay aspects. Not to mention, Sega's fiscal reports are pretty low as of recently. Did we all forget how mediocre and low the reception and quality was for Lost World and Boom? How bad that tarnished Sonic's rep all over again? They would have to quote-unquote play it safe just to get people interested and excited for Sonic again, and to fix that spread of confusion Lost World and Boom caused. Mania's been doing an excellent job at that, and Forces seems to be too, not just with modern Sonic, but mostly because of the custom hero, because that does seem to be an interesting idea. It's good to go for change, and that's what Sonic usually does, whether it be good or bad. But I think it'd be best for them to take it a step back, return to the boost, and reflect on whether or not this, and maybe even the Custom Heroes gameplay style will still prove effective, confirm how it pans out, and see whether or not to return to that one and only style they didn't reuse that was successful, which was the adventure gameplay, or build off the boost in other ways such as adding parkour, adding more 3D sections and more 3D platforming, slowing it down a little bit, adding an extra element to it that's new, and other possibilities. Because as much as it's well received and how I like the boost itself is still flawed, making stages feel small and short even if they account for their massive sizes. Regarding the adventure gameplay, there might be some hidden ripple effect we don't know about with Sonic and Mario. When Mario made a galactic adventure, Sonic did too in the vein of Colors and especially Lost World. When Mario Kart 7 released, Sonic took a kart racing game of his own afterwards. It's loose and lacking substance, I know, but I really believe Super Mario Odyssey may impact Sega and Sonic Team in a way that the adventure style of gameplay may take shape in the next Sonic game. I doubt it will here. If anything, it might be closer to Unleashed, especially with all the vibes I'm getting from this game, which was the closest modern Sonic game to capture that adventure-esque feel. But like how that game is reusing concepts of an old yet popular Mario game, Sonic may follow suit after this game. The only thing is coming with the story, any form of ambition and innovation within that style of gameplay upon other elements, like the question of whether there should be multiple gameplay styles or not, and other things to consider, because Adventure's quality doesn't stem just from Sonic and his gameplay. People love the character development Tails, Amy, and Gamma got in Sonic Adventure. People love the variety and level design in Sonic and Shadow stages, as well as Knuckles, Rouge's, Eggman's, Tails, minus the downgraded Emerald Hunting Radar. There was more to Adventure than just the Sonic gameplay, and whether or not Sega and Sonic Team would take it upon themselves to either remaster the original games or do a brand new adventure game entirely, whether it be strictly Sonic or with multiple characters, is beyond me to guess. And even if by having those different gameplay styles, that still ruffles up Sonic's overall identity in gaming regardless. Is he mostly a 2D-centric platforming game because of the 2D sections in classic Sonic? Is he a boost-formulated, fast-paced platformer? Is he going to change his gameplay style into something completely different? Will it be Sonic and someone else in a modern Sonic game? What is Sonic the Hedgehog today? And with the boost returning, we might have an answer finally, but for all we know, they might pull another Lost World on us. That being said, what should be done for Sonic, especially after Forces, if the confidence and faith in Sonic will pick up after this in Mania, which I do believe it will, is to focus on Sonic himself, his own gameplay, and figure out what to do with him. And like I said, what they could do if the boost pans out to be successful once again, is let it stand on its own and create more expansive stages and platforming, because that can complement the boost as well with how fast and long it can go. Sonic Unleashed, again, is the closest we got to that, especially looking at the Wii and PlayStation 2 versions as well as the Xbox and PS3 versions, because there was more open space and more 3D platforming than any other modern Sonic game out there. The levels were big, they were expansive and vast, and Sonic's controls have gotten easier to maintain in terms of full 3D movement. Doing something like what Unleashed did regarding those stages and the boost would benefit Sonic greatly if the boost does stick with modern Sonic from here on out, because a lot of people can agree with what I said regarding that Unleashed open world gameplay, the platforming, the boost, adventure mix gameplay, all that stuff. The boost is not about exploration and all that, it's about Sonic going fast and hitting those high speeds. But a middle ground can be met somewhere in there. I'm pretty sure it's possible. You just have to add more in the stages and give them more things going on than making them big and empty. And future games could also apply other mechanics like the parkour mechanic, or others like I mentioned earlier, in order to make it stand out and be innovative. If it somehow fails, then adventure might be their last bet and we might get that in the future. I say don't lose hope for that, not just yet. In a nutshell, whether it be adventure or boost, you can't please everyone. What needs to be done is don't pander to every audience for the sake of Sonic's games, because that's impossible. Give Sonic a strong identity via a solid gameplay style that can work in tandem to that, take as much time on his games like they're doing with Forces, Mania, and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, and shove as much passion and effort into it as they can, as if it were their last game. All this considered, Sonic Forces still looks like a promising Sonic game. Classic Sonic's inclusion's arguable, but his gameplay doesn't look bad, there could be some enjoyment out of it. Modern Sonic's gameplay is still nice to look at, and who knows what other stages and elements he has. The custom character is an interesting choice, and a nicely thought out one as well. Classic Sonic still has a twist in his gameplay we've yet to see, there's still more stages, characters, and story we've yet to see, and we still have more info and details regarding Modern Sonic and Custom Hero. We still have plenty more to look forward to. I'm still really excited for Sonic Forces and anticipating more gameplay to be shown at this year's E3. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more info on this game regarding more story, more stages, more gameplay elements, more gameplay footage, and coverage, as this game is going to get a demo at E3. There's still a lot more about this game left to be seen, and I'm looking forward to it. Apologies again for sounding like a broken record, because some of you, and even I, feel like I've been repeating myself a good amount of what I said before over and over. Thank you for watching, and be sure to stick around for more Sonic Forces, Sonic Mania, and other things Sonic the Hedgehog. Stay super.